Back at another edition of the Down and Back with CornDoug. Hopefully you're all rested after all that cornhole action last weekend on ESPN and NBC. A lot of great winners, a lot of great people who've actually been on the show that were winners. Jordan Kamba, him and his partner took down the pro qualifier, or the pro invitational. Jordan's been on the show. Sam Finley, Christine Pappy. I kind of joke with them that they got their win, but they met and kind of joined up together when they were on the Down and Back Live there as well too. But a lot of great players, a lot of great winners. Big shout out to Octane being on national TV for the first time. PJ Sorrow came up a little bit short with the U.S. Army, getting second place in the All Forces using his Octane Nitro bags. So yeah, big shout out to PJ for getting Octane on the big map for the first time. So this is a special show for me because we finally got the music, cornhole mixing together. Gonna welcome the show because it's just getting me here to talk. Brian James Schram, welcome to the Down and Back.
Hello, how are you, man?
Not bad. So most people have probably seen you because the cornhole world is just sharing like crazy your new song that you have out.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, man. It's just great to see. Beers, Bags, and Boards. You know, when I really started getting into cornhole here these past few months, I made it my goal to try to write a song for cornholers, and I knew it wouldn't be really that easy, just because the kind of song I wanted to write, I wanted it to be a real song, like a real pump up song for cornholers they could listen to before a match, you know, whether it be just a small tournament down the road on the corner pub or ACL or ACO championship. I wanted to write something that people would really like to listen to before they played. And so it took a little bit of time, but finally one, you know, it just clicked. And I remember when I had the idea of Beers, Bags, and Boards, I got my phone out and everything I write, you know, I'm always busy, so I can't ever hardly sit down and write unless I go, you know, to a place specifically for that. So I just got my phone out and you know, and voice messages, turned that on and sang the idea in my phone, and then got out to Vegas and we laid it down, and it turned out great. And yeah, man, people they really took a liking to it quickly. And they've been sharing the shit out of it, and I think that's awesome.
I know. For the first time I heard it, I was like, finally, because I've been like 2 years looking for like a cornhole song to listen to, put in that playlist, and now it's here. And you know, and I'm probably the only one in my family that's a country fan, so it's like, hey, it's like the best of both worlds for me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you know, I wasn't aware. You know, I didn't know if there was a cornhole song out there or not, whether it be my genre or not, but I just wanted to write something that was honest, based on my experience and how I fell in love with cornhole and why and all that stuff. So it's funny, we wrestled with, you know, country, because I'm a country artist, obviously, but I'm from Michigan and I spent a lot of time in Detroit, so I still have that rock edge in me, you know. So we wrestled with, do we make it sound more rock, lean it more towards rock, or do we put the banjos in there and the steel and make it lean it more towards country? So where we landed, I think, was a cool mix, because we just left it really raw, and I think it does sound, you know, it has that country aspect to it, but it also has the rock aspect to it. And from my experience, cornhole players are rock or they're country, you know. So I think where we landed, I was very happy with where we landed. And who knows, we may down the road, you know, we may alter it and have some different mixes of it, you know, maybe a club mix, or you just never know where something like that's going to go, if it's going to take off or not. And if it does, you know, we've talked about a whole bunch of things, you know, remixing it or doing a video, actually doing a music video for it, which I really want to do. That's going to happen. Hell or high water, I will make that happen, because I think a video with the song is where it's at.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, that'd be perfect. So I know for me, the
Yeah,
first time I heard it, I just had, to my untrained ear, I had like an Eric Church vibe to it for myself. You know,
that's
it's that was
awesome.
like
That's great.
that's what really appealed to me. And so yeah, so yeah, so if you got
Yeah.
that, I'm guessing that is the you know, if other people can get that as well too, that's it's even better.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Eric Church and that whole, that whole vibe. So if that's what you got out of it, then I'm definitely happy with that.
Yeah, so you got the cornhole song. How did you get your start in cornhole then?
Well, I've been playing cornhole for a few years at the Eagles. I was just one of those guys that showed up. Sometimes I'd play, sometimes I wouldn't. And I had a really goofy throw, the end over end throw, and just try to, make it in the dang hole. And where I really got serious about it was when, like I said, Chaz came out and the Blue Collar family came out to an Eagles weekly tournament thing that we have at the Eagles. And Jeremy Shermahorn actually was out too, which I had no clue who Jeremy was, how good he was. He was a pro, whatever. I had no clue. I was just, these people came in and they started playing, and I was just like, what is happening? Like, this is a different level of cornhole. And me being the competitive guy that I've always been, I wanted some of that. I wanted a piece of that. So literally, and a guy named Darren Raleigh, who was one of the cornhole guys that was a weekly cornhole guy, who was a decent cornhole player, but he had left and he started doing these tournaments. He started going around and doing these tournaments with Blue Collar in the area, and so he left for a while, and I couldn't understand why. And he came back really, really good. I mean, the guy was insane. He was winning all the tournaments when he came back, and he was winning so many that he just stopped coming because it just wasn't, fair, really. So it clicked in my head. I'm like, you know what? I got to check this out. I think maybe I would like to pursue this sport, because it seemed like he was having so much more fun when he came back and he was good. When you can put it in the hole and you can compete, it's fun, for guys like me anyway, that are competitive. If you don't, sometimes you can go to a blind draw and throw around and you're done.
Yeah.
So that wasn't fun to me. So anyway, long story short, yeah, I put a lot of time every single day. When I got my Vipers, I was literally playing every single day. I was being yelled at. I played so much that there was a complaint made at the apartments because of the noise making. I would be up literally at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Throwing bags, thump, thump, thump. And I didn't think about it. It's like, oh, yeah, I do. Okay, I can understand why these people might, they don't want to be woke up by a thump.
Yeah.
Thump. So literally, that's it, man. I put a lot of time into it. In quarantine, I was playing every day. I did a lot of quarantine tournaments, virtual tournaments.
Yep.
I did a lot of ACL tournaments. Actually, I got into the ACL virtual tournaments, and I won. A funny story actually is Jeremy tagged me in a tournament during quarantine, and I'm like, oh, cool. There's a tournament I can do, in quarantine. That's awesome. So I just went to the thing and I signed up and I did it. Well, long story short, I got in the tournament and I happened to draw one of the best players around here, Derek Singleton. So he was my partner. So we do the first game and we play the first game and man, I'm like, these guys are pretty good. And we play the next game, like, wow, man, I think we lost that game. We fell in the losers bracket. And I'm like, these guys are really good, man. They're like an average 9-10. Well, long story short, I didn't realize what I was getting into. He tagged me for a cornhole tournament, so I just figured, okay, sweet, I'm going to enter this. Well, I didn't realize that it was an advanced cornhole tournament. I was barely competitive. I was a social player and I had barely just gone up to competitive. So I didn't think about all that. But long story short, I shot really well, and we ended up winning the tournament. So it was kind of cool, man. But you know, you find out how good those guys are, and it's just like, whoa, man. So I would never do that now. I'm not an advanced player yet. I'm still a competitive player. I have come very far very quickly, according to, you know, my friends that play, like Jeremy and Don and Maya Cup and all these people who I play with now. But I'm hoping by the end of the year maybe I could step up to advanced playing. You know.
Yeah.
And just see where it goes. I love the game that much. I do love the game that much. I really fell in love with it, which is where the song came from, and why I wrote that song. And I don't know. It's just a really cool sport. Anybody can win at any time. Anybody can have a bad couple rounds that you can't recover from, no matter how good you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about the game so much. You know, is any the underdog can win anytime.
And I know
You
you
know,
saying, you know, getting that start with the blue collar guys. I know we've had experiences up here with our guys up here in Ontario that have gone over to play with the blue collar guys, and you know, Chaz and Stevens over there as well too. That they were all just, you know, we had like 5 or 6 guys go over there the first time, and they just kind of open arms said, yeah, come on in and play, help
yeah,
them out, give them some bags. It was just, you know, it's almost like one of the best places just to be able to grow your game with those guys.
absolutely. You know, I started, one thing that really started helping me too is when I decided I wanted to learn how to throw the flat bag. The very first time I ever tried it in a tournament was at the Eagles Fun Day Sunday. And I had been practicing back at home, but I hadn't thrown the flat bag yet in competition. So I threw it the first night, you know, and it was pretty awful. You know, I'll be honest, it was pretty awful the first first night that I tried to throw the flat bag. But then I came back to Sunday Fun Day, and I got better, and I got better, and I got better. And that Sunday Fun Day that they do over there, you know, is round robin. It's so much, you get so much gameplay and so much practice. And you have Chaz and Christine there and all these people here. You know, they're Silver Fox. I call him Silver Guy now, Scott Rice. You know, they're watching you. They're giving you tips constantly. It's literally stuff that you should be paying for, you know, to learn how to do. And these people are just so nice and want to see you do well, and they want to see the sport of cornhole grow so quickly. That they just help you, you know, and they're good people. They're good people. Like I said, that's number one for me, is good people. I don't like cocky people. I don't like hockey players. I never have. You know, I like down to earth players that are just good people that want to help and want to grow the sport.
Yeah.
So, and I've been very lucky to find, you know, that most of these players out there are that. They're that way.
Yeah. So I know
So,
I know you recorded the song and your kind of your other songs in Vegas. So did you get a chance to play out there that much? And was there a difference between playing Vegas and playing in around Detroit?
well, I went out to Vegas. My guitar player has been out there for 3 years. He's you know, he's been out there for as long, you know, since he's been 10 years old. But I go out there because he has a studio out there. We write together, so I'm able to go out there and do that. So we haven't really played much in Vegas as of late, just because of the COVID thing, and you really can't. I mean, nothing's really open enough in Vegas to actually play music yet. So we're more just writing and recording at his studio and getting everything ready for when it does, you know, open up. Because I think when it opens up, it's going to absolutely boom, and there's going to be so much opportunity,
Yeah.
you know, to play out there. So
Exactly.
so I spend probably, you know, I'd say an average of 3 months probably out of the year in Vegas doing that. You know, I'll go for a month, I'll come back here for a month, or I'll go there for a couple of weeks, come back here for a couple of weeks. You know, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit of flying, but it's all worth it.
Yeah. So before we get into your music career, with music being so competitive, cornhole being so, you're now getting that competitive. Were you into any other competitive sports or anything like that before that kind of helped drive that competition in you with cornhole and music?
Oh, definitely. I'd say, I mean, I've always played sports in school, and my brothers actually are really good at sports. But I've always just been able to kind of pick the ones that I really like and go for it. And one of the sports, which some people would call it a sport, some people wouldn't, but I had a pretty good fishing career, actually. Before I got into the cornhole thing, I was a guide, licensed guide on Lake St. Clair, and I'd take people out and put them on fish, muskie and pike and smallmouth bass was a big one on Lake St. Clair, walleye for the walleye run. I mean, I pretty much did everything out there, but I'd say my expertise was probably muskie, and smallmouth bass. And so so I guided out there, and I actually was involved in some TV shows with fishing, Mark Zona and Pete Mena, the next bite, who was rated, the top probably 3 muskie guys in the world. So I started doing TV shows, and before you knew it, I was sponsored by Bass Pro Shops. Got a free boat every year, and free lures and stuff like that, to where I could go out and promote them and use them. And then I started doing tournaments in the Bassmasters, doing the Bassmasters Open, which I never won. I never won a tournament, but I did place in the top 12 in a tournament, which is really, really hard to do, actually. Man, and so I did that for a while, and until music started taking back over. I guess that was a little bit of a hiatus, to be honest with you. I had been in the music business for a little bit, with the Cracker thing, playing for Uncle Cracker, and actually that might have been before that. But I remember I had an indie deal, where I kind of got a little bit. I didn't get as much as I was promised, put it that way, in my advance. And so it kind of shocked me a little bit, and kind of knocked me down for a second. This music business is, if you talk to anybody that's been in the music business, they'll tell you it's just so full of ups and downs. Yeah. It's so full of ups and downs. One day you're on top of the world, the next the bottom falls out. So it's like it's this thing that just is a constant struggle, but you keep doing it. If you really truly love it, you'll keep doing it. You'll keep pursuing it. And that's me with music. I've never quit. I've never quit writing. I work as hard as anybody as you've ever seen in music and writing new music. And I think that's probably a little bit of the competitiveness too in there. I like challenges. I like challenges, and I face them head on, and I'm pretty relentless, at it. So I'll accomplish it, or I'll die trying. I guess that's the mentality I've had all my life. But yeah, I did the fishing thing for a while. I was pretty successful at it. The music came back around and started taking precedence over that. I signed with a new manager who I've been with for about 4 years now, who is just, I call him my angel. He was just a godsend to me, I feel like. A guy that truly cares about me as a person, and has done everything in his power just to make sure that I'm taken care of. Yeah. There's been a lot of things that he could have taken. He could have taken a lot of things by now as far as, finances go, but he's just always made sure that I was taken care of. And when I found that guy, I'm like, you know what, I'm sticking with that guy until I can't do this anymore. So, and that's kind of where we've been. We've had some releases, had some songs released to radio, Summer Life. If you go to my YouTube, you'll see about 10 or 11 songs now. But Summer Life was one of them that was released to Music Row Radio, and it placed in the top somewhere in the top 40 or 50. You know, amongst some really big names, Eric Church being one of them, actually. So yeah, and that's where we're at now. You know, we've got another album out here that we're kind of soft releasing on YouTube, making it so that, you know, there's only one place you can go and hear the music, and that's YouTube, you know, and get those subscribers up. By the way, anybody that goes to my YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Trying to get the subscribers up there. Yeah.
And people, you can check below the description of the show here. There's going to be your link to your YouTube, link to all your social media stuff, so people can check all your stuff out. So hearing that you are, you know, the fishing guy on Lake St. Clair or the St. Clair River, I know there's a couple guys here that do go muskie fishing, so we may have to set up like a cornhole muskie fishing kind of deal.
Oh wow! Oh, I'm down. I am down. I tell you what, Lake St. Clair has some of the largest muskie that there are. In St. Lawrence River, I think the fish are a little bit better built in areas like that, but you can catch. It's not uncommon to catch a 40-pounder, you know, on St. Clair in the fall. It's not uncommon to catch one bigger, you know, and that's pretty big. When you get into 40 plus and you're approaching that 50 mark, that's a really big muskie. You know, that's a really big muskie. So my personal best on St. Clair was 55 and a quarter inches, which was a very big fish. It was a very old fish, actually. It was in the river, in the St. Clair River, and it was just a very, very large fish, an old fish. It almost looked like a grandma. Like you could look at the fish, and it looked like like its teeth was a little different. Like these muskie all have a certain look to them when they get to that age, you know, and that point, because that's a very, very old fish. And I looked at her, and she was kind of skinny on the back, and it was almost like just looking at like my grandma. Like, oh, grandma, you haven't been eating well. Your teeth are not as big as they used to be.
Yeah.
So, but a beautiful fish still, nonetheless, a giant muskie. So, yeah, so I would love to do that. You know, to be honest with you, I haven't caught a muskie. I didn't catch one last year. I was so busy, I never got out on St. Clair to catch a muskie, and so far this year I haven't caught a muskie, which is really sad when I think about it. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna start crying.
So well, we'll switch it back to music a bit here, because you did say you got the chance to play with Uncle Cracker, and we got to hear you on that other podcast that's out of Boston or whatever earlier in the week. Those other
those other yahoos.
Yeah, but yeah. So they you know, we got to hear that you did do some stuff with Uncle Cracker, and what's some of your other guys that you've maybe played with that people know, or your influences? Because I know from my understanding with you know, having family in the business, that you never settle on the genre that you started off with, right? So it's because you're always in something else, and then it kind of led to something else.
Yeah, it definitely morphed. You know, I was definitely raised in the country genre for sure, the older stuff, and I didn't like the older stuff then. I like it now, but I didn't like it then as a kid, and I kind of rebelled a little bit, did my rock thing. And then, you know, as you grow older, you start experiencing things, and you start doing things. And I mean, you know, the best way I can explain country music is what makes you love country music to me is when you start living life, you start experiencing life, because you hear these songs. Like Eric Church is a brilliant songwriter. You know, his songs are just so relatable and everything he's saying, and it's just stuff. It's life experiences, and that's what I try to write about now. You know, are just my life experiences and everything I've experienced going through this life and trying to get through it, battling through it. So yeah, I was with Cracker, got involved with him. I was in his band for about a year. You know, touring with him, did all the late night TV shows and stuff like that. And then I got out of that thing. I could have stayed there. You know, I mean, honestly, I look back at that and I think to myself, yeah, I could have stayed doing that. You know, I could have been a hired gun for the rest of my life probably. But would I have been truly happy doing that? You know, I just felt like I had something to say, you know. So, and my manager at that time, who was Madonna's brother, Mario Ciccone, he, you know, he was just basically like, look, you can do this and you're good enough to do it for the rest of your life, but I think you should start writing your own music. And so I started doing that, and you know, that stuff came out very rock. You know, I was in. He turned me on. He was an influence on me, honestly, but he turned me on to like the Foo Fighters and Green Day and that kind of thing, and I really loved that music at the time, and I still don't mind it now. I don't like it as much as country music, but you know, it is what it is. So you know, we did a tour with Motley Crue and Godsmack and in Theory of a Dead Man and a whole bunch of these bands that went on Crew Fest as the rock outfit, you know, the rock band called Schram. And I had a really young drummer in the band, Jason Hartless, who is now Ted Nugent's touring drummer, which is awesome. I mean, when he was in my band, he was like 15 or 16 years old. It was insane. Mm-hmm. And so now he's with Ted Nugent doing really well for himself in the rock world. And so yeah, after Crew Fest, I mean, I don't know. There's so much to say about my music career in the past. There could be a book written for sure on the different paths and trails that I've gone down, you know, to end up where I'm at now, which I feel like is the best place I've ever been in my music career for sure. But yeah, I did the rock thing for a while, and then I just decided I was gonna start writing songs on the acoustic guitar, and they started sounding country. I started sounding more country and more country, and my dad being the huge, you know, country critic more than anything, not even country lover, country critic. He was like, son, you know, I think that you should do this. I think you can do this. I think you sound really good. I think your country voice sounds better than your rock voice did. He was very brutally honest, and I didn't want to hear it at that time, I don't think. But, you know, I took his advice and kept writing songs, and I'm like, wow, you know, this is sounding country, and to be honest with you, I kind of like it. So I kept writing it, you know, and got turned on to country music pretty quickly. Started loving guys like Eric Church, you know, listening to guys like him and Dierks Bentley and all these artists that I just absolutely love. And yeah, long story short, went to Nashville for a showcase for a radio station that I had been on, where one of my songs went #1. It was a internet radio station, but one that had gained a lot of traction, called the Iceman. And I went #1 on that, and so they asked me to come to Nashville and do a showcase, where they showcased over 100, I think it was like 120 bands in a matter of 2 days, a weekend. And the label that signed me, manager that signed me, happened to be there, looking to sign a country act. So he was looking to sign a male country act and a female country act, and it just, here we are. You know, he signed me, and 3 years later, we're still kicking, still putting songs out there, doing really well, you know, as an independent artist.
But yeah, so then to bring it back into cornhole, I know we talked a bit before the show here that that cornhole players and musicians are kind of have that little bit of, I don't want to say a bond, but there's that similarity between collecting cornhole bags and collecting music gear. Because I know, like, there's some musicians that do watch the show, and they've said, "Wow, the cornhole players are like musicians with just collecting bags, or musicians are collecting pedals or guitars or whatever." But there's that similarity between the two.
Yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't affect me as much as I think it may here down the road. because I've seen how that works. There's a guy here in town, Darren Raleigh, and he literally has the most cornhole bags I've ever seen in my life. I think he's got like 2 tubs, giant tubs full of cornhole bags that he's collecting. He'll bust, maybe 2 or 3 sets out, when he plays, and the rest he's just collecting. So it's kind of cool. He invited me over when he's like, "Hey man, you should come over and check out these bags and see what suits you. Throw all these bags and see what suits you and what you like and what's going to work for you." And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." Yeah, I figured maybe there'd be 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets. Oh no, a whole entire giant bin. There had to be over 100 bags in there, guaranteed over 100 bags. So yeah, I've seen this collector's thing absolutely go through the roof. And funny story, when I started getting better at cornhole, I wanted a faster bag. I started with a slower bag. I started with Reynolds Pro Advantages to start, and then I got a little better, a little more accurate, so I needed a faster bag. So I went to Vipers, which is like a way faster bag. Yeah. So I got Vipers, and so I had to look for them. They didn't have them on the site at that time, and so I had to look for them. So I shopped around for Vipers, and man, it's because of the collecting thing. There's such a demand for these bags. It's insane. Yeah. People will pay $200, $300, $400, $500 for these bags, and I'm just like, for a bean bag?
Yeah, it's almost pay this gold than to buy some than to buy some of the bags.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into here? So I got lucky, and Steve Ochoa had a set of Vipers, used Vipers, that he sold me for a cheap price, $75. Got me rolling, and there you have it. I had them. I had those bags since I want to say February, maybe. I've had those bags, and they just recently died. They just recently passed away out in Vegas. I spent an entire 4 days, about 5 hours a day, nonstop, throwing bags 100 feet plus to go for the world record. So those bags died the day before I came back here, and so that was really sad. But those bags were really good to me. I got to be honest with you. I was a little teary-eyed. I mean, I felt like I had lost, a dog or something.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, and you start getting that feel for them, you get, you don't want to part with them.
They were my babies, and it was probably stupid to do that, just because I talked to guys that have had Vipers, that have lasted for over a year, So I probably could have gotten another 6, 7, 8 months out of them, but they were the most broken down Vipers you've ever put in your hands. Everybody that threw my Vipers, my red Vipers, that's what the first thing they said was, "Oh my God, what did you do to these?" Said, "So I learned how to play cornhole, man."
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have to get you, since you're in need of new bags, we'll have to get you in a set of Octane Nitros, because they are the fastest bag that Octane has. So it's maybe you might have to try and get
cool.
you, a set of those there at some point.
Yeah, I would love to do that, and I promise I won't throw them 100 feet plus and wreck them.
They've been kind of standing up, because I've been seeing some of the other posts online, and it's like, holy cow, with bags breaking seams. And Matt with Octane here, I just talked to him the other night, and he's like, we started talking about it, and he's like, he's made like over 7,000 bags, and I think he's had about 4 come back that the seams have broken up. So they're a bag that so yeah. So maybe
that's awesome. That's a big deal.
Maybe once this quarantine opens up, and maybe you can bring the show up here, and we can do like a cornhole tournament and concert up here and get things rolling.
Yeah, I would love to do something like that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I want to thank you for coming on and doing this here, and hopefully like I said, maybe if your concert, if tour comes up this way, we can get together and maybe talk live at some point at the show.
Okay, yeah, man, that'd be great. Anytime. I'm always down for stuff like this. I think it's cool. You know, the coolest thing about the whole cornhole endeavor is how many great people I've met. You know, so, and I know that it's just going to, you know, I'm just going to continue to meet great people in this sport, and you know, that's, to me, that's just the most important thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, so like I said, continued success with the song and with the album when it does come out, and yeah, so everyone check out Beers, Bags, and Boards. Look, the link is just below, and yeah, just kind of, you can say rock out because it is like a rock and country song.
Yeah, man, definitely rock it out. Rock out with your, I can't say that, but I'm trying to find a substitute in my mind of, you know, writing, but I can't do nothing's coming.
So again, thank Brian for coming out, and for everyone else, stay safe, keep throwing those virtual bags, because we're getting live cornhole coming back, I think, very, very soon. So so thanks for showing up, and give my show a like and subscribe, give Brian's show, all of his videos, likes, subscribe to his channel, and really just, you know, spread his music around, because it is some fun music to listen to.
I appreciate that so much.
Okay. And we'll see everyone next week on the Down and Back with CornDoug.
Later.